Wait a minute, hold up. So, women, let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that y'all churches are pushing y'all to marry homosexual men?
I like it, girl, I like it, keep on like it, girl, I like it, girl, I like it, keep, girl, like it, girl, I like it, girl, I like it, girl, I like it, keep, girl.
Hey y'all, it's me M3 and I would like to welcome you guys back to M3 Unscripted, my new YouTube channel, and I would say that this is the first official episode. First episode, I had to lay the land, I had to be obedient, and I had to just kind of let you guys know what you can expect from the channel, but in today's episode, we're going to get down into it. The response to the pilot episode was just, I mean, overwhelming. You guys liked, you shared, you tuned in, you left comments, you text me. I think the text messages were the most just impactful because I was getting text messages all during the show, after the show, in the middle of the night. So I'm glad that it did what it was supposed to do. Mission accomplished because I wasn't quite sure how it was going to be received, but I knew what I felt and what I heard, and so I'm glad that was helpful for you guys. I'm glad. Thanks for just all the feedback that you guys gave me, and I want y'all to keep that coming because again, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. So I need y'all to keep the feedback coming. I need y'all to let me know what's working, what's not. I was watching so let me tell y'all, I hate how I sound on a microphone. I hate it. I think I sound like a box of hamburger helper. I sound like cornbread and gravy. I sound like gizzards and mashed potatoes. I feel like I sound so southern and so country, but I didn't even watch the first episode. I mean, of course I've seen it. I recorded it. I've seen it, but I couldn't watch it in real time because I just kept cringing at my voice. And so I went back and watched it again. I kept popping in and out, but in the beginning, it was kind of like glitching. Was it glitching for y'all? Drop down in the comments and tell me if it was glitching because I need to know because we don't know if it was YouTube. We know it wasn't a video because we uploaded the video. The video was pristine. So I don't know if it was YouTube. I don't know if it was my internet. If AT&T was trying to play with me, I don't know what was going on. But I want you guys' feedback. We want to know what's working, what's not. You guys said you love the set. Appreciate it. A lot of hard work went into the set. You guys said that you just like the content. You guys were giving me all kind of feedback. So keep that coming because it's only gonna make me better. And so I'm not the person who shies away from anybody's opinion, good or bad. Because guess what? The good stuff, I'm gonna take. The bad stuff, I'm gonna improve. And the stuff that's just hating, I know how to mute. So keep it coming. And again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. In the first day, now I wasn't expecting to have 1 million followers overnight. However, them 125 subscribers I got right now might as well be 1 million. It feels like 1 million to me because I was not expecting that. So thank you to everybody that subscribed. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. And I hope that you subscribe as well. Go back and watch the first video. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out. And we are going to get into the show. Also, if you're not following me on socials, follow me on Instagram. It's at I am Miracle Malone. You can find me on Facebook too. I'm trying to see, do I post more? I post more on Facebook. I'm gonna start posting more on Instagram. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. Like I love it because it helps me to keep up with everybody. But that having to post everyday stuff, I'm still getting used to it. So I'm gonna start posting more on Instagram. I'm on Threads. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, of course. I love TikTok. I'm on Twitter, but I'm not on Twitter. And y'all know why I'm not. If Twitter is your number one platform, I'm about ready to. I'm judging. If Twitter is your number one platform, because I'm gonna say it without saying it, y'all know what's on Twitter. Y'all know what's on Twitter. Twitter is the gutter. Twitter is the absolute gutter. If you're on Twitter, if Twitter is your number one platform for information or just to socialize, I already know what you want and you need to repent because ain't nothing on Twitter but Twitter is the slums. I log into Twitter and I had to start like holding my phone, like making sure ain't nobody looking over my shoulder. As soon as you log in, it's just filth. It's absolute filth. So I'm on Twitter, but I'm not on Twitter. So you're not gonna catch me on that or on Snapchat. Cause I know what the people doing on Snapchat too. Y'all like Snapchat because some stories be disappearing. But I'm on Snapchat, on Twitter, but I'm not on there. But you can follow me on everything else. DM me if you like. I respond back. I'm cool like that. But do not call me on Facebook. I don't understand why people think it's okay to call people on Facebook, like through Facebook. Like, why do y'all do that? Why do y'all think that that's okay to do? I just when people call me on Facebook, I not only do I not answer, I might block you because why would you do that? I don't even answer FaceTimes from people that I know that's random. So why would I answer Facebook with a stranger? Anyway, so today we are going to talk about being so anxious. And I thought about it because even when the pilot episode was premiering, I just felt myself just being uneasy and just impatient. And I don't know, I had felt like I had a lump in my throat the entire time. And so someone messaged me on Instagram and she tuned into the first video. So I definitely, if you're watching again, thank you so much for tuning in. But her question was about basically selfish prayers. Like, how do you align with your heart with God's will? And she proceeded to kind of tell me about how, she's been praying for things and it's just not happening fast enough and, what she should do. And so I had to tell her, and this is something that I also had to deal with because let me let y'all in on a little secret. I've been in Dallas now for 10 years almost. Almost. The game plan was 5. I planned on coming to Dallas and being here for 5 years. I moved here in 2015. The plan was 2020. I was going to be out of here. The whole goal was move here, make the money that I want to make, get the title that I want to have, and then I could take it wherever I want to take it. That's a business nugget for you. Whatever your title and salary is, when you go somewhere else, unless you're in a situation to where you have to take a pay cut, they're going to start you where you left. And so my goal was to make a certain amount of money, get a certain title, and then I can go wherever I wanted to go. It's 2024 and I'm still here. And me and God tussled, and I did not win. I did not win. I prayed and prayed. I think during the pandemic, because again, 2020 was pandemic. Where was you going in 2020? Nowhere, but to the grocery store and back, if that. And I prayed and prayed. I was ready to go so bad, because I didn't have a plan past 5 years. 5 years was the cap. So when I got to that 5 year mark, I just felt lost. I felt confused. I felt stagnant. I was like, why am I still here? I felt disconnected from Dallas. I knew that I didn't even call Dallas home for probably the first 5 years. I did not call Dallas home. I always would just say, I work here. Because the fact of the matter is, that was the only thing that was keeping me here. Full transparency, I love my church. I have an amazing church, an amazing pastor and first lady. We really are a family church. I'm very active. But there's amazing churches all over the world. So while I love my church, it wasn't enough for me to be here while I was experiencing that void in other areas. And so I would just tell people I work in Dallas. That's it. And so I was ready to go. And I used to pray to God every night. And it got to a point where God had to just straight up tell me, like, no, not maybe, miracle, we'll see, just sit tight. It was like flat out no. And I had a dream. I won't go into full detail of the dream, but I had a dream where God was pretty much telling me that the answer was no. Woke up, went into prayer, and then I went to scripture. And after I kind of interpreted the scripture based on the dream, I was like, Lord, you was gonna kill me if I moved. Because in the dream I had packed up and moved, and wherever I went, there was just a lot of warfare. And I was like, Lord, you was gonna kill me And he was like, no, I wasn't going to kill you, but I wasn't going with you. I wasn't going with you. And for me, that might as well be death, because who wants to go somewhere where God isn't going to be with you? Like, I think sometimes I remember I went to a conference, a really big conference here in Dallas. It's called C3. And one of the keynote speakers, he said something that just resonated with me, and it stuck with me. He said, a lot of people pray. I'm paraphrasing. He said something along the lines of, people pray for God to put his hands on them. My prayer is that he never takes his hand off. And I felt that thing. Like, can you imagine? Like, we walk around in life, you know, just assuming that God is always going to be there. But what if one day he ain't? And that is what helped. Matter of fact, that conference was in 2020. I think that is kind of what helped me to miracle chill out. You have to understand that it's a God thing, and God's timing goes above your own. And while it still was a fight, and after I finally stopped fighting God on me wanting to move, then he started to speak, because I first had to just give up. I had to submit, give up, same thing. I had to submit. I had to say, okay, Lord, your will, not my own. What is the plan that you have for my life? And it seemed like once I really was in full submission, that's when God started to speak. And that's when things start happening. That's when things start happening. Like, that's when things started happening. And God had to reveal to me later on. He said, Miracle, there are things that me and you want to go to the same place. He said, but the route that I'm taking you is going to equip you with what you need to get to your destination. And that is what kind of put me at ease. I still get antsy sometimes, but that is what helped me to kind of be at ease, because one, I don't want to go anywhere without God. Two, whenever I get to where I'm going, I'm hoping that it takes me to the next level. And so, and I can honestly say from 2022 to 2024, whew, so much has happened in those 2 years. And now I'm like, okay, God, now I see. Now I get it. I didn't see it at the beginning, but now I get it. So we have to sometimes just remind yourself that nothing that God does is a coincidence. Everything that he does is a part of the strategy. I always say God is the ultimate strategist. He's so calculated. It don't get more strategic than God. He already got the plan. He had the plan before you got here. So that is one of the things that I had to do. And when you just remember who God is and the fact that he already had a plan, like, give up whatever it is that you're trying to do. Submit to him, and then eventually your heart will align with the plan that he has for you. And then once you're content with that, you'll be able to not be so anxious. You'll be able to just go with the flow. You'll be able to start just appreciating where you are, because sometimes it's hard to, you're always thinking, if you're anything like me, you're always thinking in the future. Sometimes I dare admit, I'm a little bit controlling, a smidge. I have to know what's going on. I have to know what's going on. I got to know next step. I got to know next play. Like, I don't like being surprised. I don't like being blindsided. I got to know. And that has been my biggest struggle with walking out this Christian journey, because I have sometimes, if having trying to control everything is lack of faith and lack of trust. And so I have to submit those feelings of always wanting to be in control so that I can follow God. And so that is what I hope. If you're watching this, you know who you are. If you're watching this, I hope that, that further helps you. For anybody else who's kind of feeling that way, you feeling like, what's next? What I'm supposed to be doing? You ready to get on to the next thing? Or you're feeling anxious because things aren't going in the way that you really want them to go, or even as fast as you want them to go. God's timing is better than your own. Trust me on that. Like, even when, you know how sometimes, like, you stuff be happening. Like, let's just say you're trying to get ready for work and you can't find your keys. You can't find your keys. It's making you late. You probably getting frustrated and you tearing stuff up trying to find your keys. You finally find them and you realize you late. And then on your route to work, you see it was a terrible accident. What if God's timing is trying to, his delay is trying to keep you from some type of detrimental something that could happen to you, to your destiny? Like I really be thinking about things like that. Like, what if the delays are really setting me up for success? It's setting me up for purpose. It's setting me up, or it could be stopping something that the enemy had planned for me. So I've learned to just slow down and let God be God. I always say to myself sometimes, it's my little joke, um, like, Miracle, stop trying to keep up with God. You don't know what God doing. God will show me one little thing, and then I'll be like, oh, he must finna do this. Okay, I see you, God. You finna open this door. And God be like, you don't know what I'm finna do. Chill. You don't know what God finna do. Chill out and let him work. Period. So if that's how you're feeling, drop down in the comments and let me know if that's something that you're struggling with too. If you're struggling with just submitting your will to submit to God's will, that's something that just drop down in the comments and let me know. And again, I hope it's someone, I hope, my little 2 cents of testimony helps. I hope it's somebody else in the comments who shares maybe how they got over that hurdle. But I'm telling you, ain't no timing like God's timing. So there's a link in my bio. This is going to be a new segment that I'm going to do. So y'all tell me what y'all think about it. There's a link in my bio. It is an anonymous link. It's truly anonymous. I can't see who submitted it. Even if I were to pay Apple $6.99 to reveal who sent it, they only tell me what city it came from. So it does me no good. So there's an anonymous link where I post so that you can submit anonymous topics or questions or anything that you may want to discuss on the platform. And I got this idea from Instagram because I used to just post it in my story. And the stuff that I would get was really entertaining. And people would DM me and say, Miracle, every time you do this, it's always so funny. And so I said, you know what? Let's make this a part of the show. And so the link is in my bio on Instagram and it's in the description box below. If you want to submit a question or a topic anonymously, you can do that. And then depending on what it is, I said that no topics or questions were off the board, but just don't run out. Just please don't run out. Don't say nothing too crazy. But if it's something that I feel like we can discuss, we're gonna discuss it. So I got a question in the anonymous box that really kind of made me like, is this a real question? And the question was, why are churches pushing and allowing women to marry homosexual men? I don't know what church doing that? Are churches really doing that for real? Is that a real thing or is that like a one-off? I want y'all to drop down in the comments and tell me if that is something that's really going on. Are churches pushing knowingly? I guess the key word there, like, do they know? Or is that something that maybe you've observed and maybe they're just not picking it up? But to answer the question, I would ask you, ladies, because I mean, let's just be honest, homosexuality goes both ways. And I wasn't going to touch this topic because anytime you talk about homosexuality in the church, that's just a windstorm. Like, and I said I wasn't going to touch it, but when I saw that one, I was like, let's talk about it. Um, Ladies, I'm going to have to ask you for real. If you know that a man is showing signs of being a homosexual, why are you even allowing your church to encourage that? That's a question you need to ask yourself because at the end of the day, your church cannot force you to be in a relationship with anybody. They can't force you to like somebody. They can't, this male or female, your church can force you to like somebody. They can't force you to marry somebody. They can't force you to be in any type of community with anybody that you don't like. So what kind of church you going to where you're allowing someone to facilitate who you have feelings for? Because I'm going to tell you straight up, there's not a pastor, an elder, a minister, a bishop, a superintendent, a deacon, a judge, a priest, a rabbi. It ain't nobody under the sun, an apostle, a prophet. There is no ministry leader, an evangelist. There is nobody under the sun who could make me, M3, Miracle Marquita Malone, marry somebody who I think is a homosexual male. And let me be very clear. I wholeheartedly believe in the transforming and delivering power of the Holy Spirit. I do. I believe that God can deliver anybody. And I don't mean Andrew Caldwell delivered. I mean full hard stop, period. I believe that God can do that. However, comma, I don't think that I am built for someone who has that story. And I think that's a bigger conversation. I think that's a bigger conversation. But the first thing I just want to ask yourself, like, why do we put that much um, confidence or responsibility on our church? That's your decision. Your pastor can't make you marry somebody who is showing you obvious red flags. And I think going back to just the topic here, I think when you are in church, I think there was a popular interview that kind of went viral with Kirk Franklin and Cam Newton, and they were talking about marriage being weaponized in the church. Um, I think there's some truth to that because you can feel like somewhat of an outsider. You can feel like, if I want to be effective in ministry or active in ministry, I have to be married. I'm 36 years old. I'm not married. I don't have any children yet, but I feel it sometimes. But I'm not desperate enough to go and just get with anybody just because I want a ring on my finger. And I will be honest in saying there are some desperate single women in the church that will align themselves with anybody just so they can be a part of the marriage club. And I think if you are noticing signs, red flags of anything, it don't just have to be limited to homosexuality. If you're seeing he's abusive, if you see he's a deadbeat, he lazy, he doesn't have good work ethic. If you see that, if he's a father, he's not the type of person that you would want to reproduce with. If he shows any red flags, why are you still willing to align yourself with them to be married? Like, why? And I'm not saying that he has to be perfect. I mean, everybody's flawed, but you know what your red flags are. You know what your deal breakers are. And if a man that is same sex attracted is a deal breaker for you, what's your pastor got to do with it? There's nothing he shouldn't even make it to the pastor's office. That shouldn't even make it to your pastor's calendar to even have a discussion about that because you are the person who makes that decision. Point blank, period. So my personal opinion is that women who ignore red flags to be in relationships have a void and a level of desperation that they really need to figure out before they be in any relationship. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't think that your church can force you into anything. I don't think anybody around you can force you into anything. Unless you just, again, you just one of those people, you're just so void and you have such a deficit that you feel like marriage is going to complete you. That's why they say never go to the grocery store hungry. You go to the grocery store hungry, you're going to get all kind of junk, all kind of stuff that you don't need. I am a believer that before you get into a relationship with anybody, you need to be whole and not looking for your other half. I know that's popular to say, girl, he complete me. He my other half. No, girl, you need to be whole because when you're whole, you won't go into that relationship looking for something or you won't drain him because of what you don't have. And so that's that on that. I'm not, I'm not knocking anybody who, if you are a person, and again, male or female, that is in a relationship with someone who has that past, That's awesome. I don't believe that people don't shouldn't have second chances. I don't believe that. I don't believe that just because someone made a choice in their past that now they're just marked for the rest of their life and they don't deserve marriage or a family. I don't believe that. I have some people that are very close to me. I have a very close friend of mine, and he and I had a real conversation. That was his lifestyle in his past, and now moving forward, he's gotten saved, and he wants to pursue a relationship with a woman and have a family. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I can see the difference in him. It's not even just the him talking. I can see the difference. And there's going to be a woman who's going to be able to accept that, and she's going to, if he's the person that she wants, then she's going to be with him. And if we being honest, I know some men who are married right now to this day with families. Okay, period. So if that is what you want to do, if you have the capacity to handle something like that, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great that God has equipped certain people to be able to handle certain situations like that. I'm just not one of them. Have y'all subscribed to the channel yet? If you have not subscribed, I need you to stop, subscribe to the channel, and I need you to like this video. I'll wait.
Up now, to the beat now. Let's go now. Don't slow down. Keep up now, to the beat now. Let's go now. Don't slow down. Keep up now, to the beat now. Let's go now. Don't slow down. Ain't no one stopping me. Ain't no way. Ain't no one stopping me. Ain't no way. I keep it pumping in the club, the beat is thumping, cause I really got 'em jumping. Yeah, you know I'm up to something. And yes, I keep it running to the rhythm. Gotta give 'em everything.
But I want to know what y'all think. My opinion is mine. Like I said, my views, my vibes. What do y'all think? Is that something that, do you think that women who ignore red flags are desperate? Do you think that? Do you think that um, women who align themselves with people, or men or women who align themselves with people who they know wouldn't be a good fit for them, just lack some type of self security? Do you think there's a void there? And are you the type of person who could deal with someone who had a same gender loving past? Is that something that you can deal with, or is that a deal breaker for you? Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think. All my ladies in the place with style and grace who love a good shoe. Again, I'm a YouTuber or a podcaster, whatever you want to call me, but primarily I'm a shoe store owner. I am the owner of Shoesy Bougie. That is a hot online shoe store that has all the latest trends. And right now, I am running a promotion of 60% off my entire site. That's right, 60% off everything. And that is running from October 1 until October 31st. I am getting ready for, of course, the holidays, Black Friday, Christmas, all the things. And I want to get rid of some of this old stuff so I can bring in this new stuff, because I see some new stuff that I'm ready to like really start pushing, and I want to get rid of some of the old inventory that I have. So hop on over to shoesybougie.com. 60% off the entire site. It's an automatic discount. You don't have to go in and enter any type of promo code or anything. And if you spend more than $100, you get free shipping. Free shipping. We know we'll delete a cart if when the shipping come back, but it's free shipping if you spend more than $100. So head over to shoesybougie.com. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on TikTok. As I said in the pilot episode, I'm a layer. I'm a triangle. I'm M3. So I have my ministry side, then I have my fun lifestyle side, but I'm also an entrepreneur and a business professional. So I work in corporate America by day, but then I run my shoe store by night in my spare time. And I get approached by so many people, specifically the ladies, asking me for business advice. They're trying to launch their business. They want to go into some type of industry, but they don't know how to get started. And so I've always said that I was going to make sure that I give the advice that I wish someone had given me. And so this is the business tip for today. You ready? Get a pen, get your iPhone note or whatever Android got. Get ready to take notes. So one thing that I've never understood, well, I won't say that I've never understood. I get it, but I still don't quite understand why other entrepreneurs and business owners want to charge people for advice that people can Google. I ain't that hard up. Like, if you ask me something, I'll tell you. I understand the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into being an entrepreneur, because there are some things that I'm working on. Stay tuned. There's some things that I'm working on that I absolutely would just not give away the tricks of the trade, because I worked very, very hard. I had to do a lot of digging. I had to spend a lot of money to get to the information. So for some things, I understand why people want to gatekeep, but some stuff I don't mind sharing, because at the end of the day, some stuff you can Google on your own anyway. And some things I just wish somebody would have just given me just to get the ball rolling. And so, my first tip that I would give, and I'm going to do these at the end of every episode or some point in every episode, just so I can just give somebody a little bit of information, a little bit of insight if they're just trying to figure out how to get started. The first thing that you want to do, and I know this is going to sound extremely cliche, it's going to sound extremely cliche, and it's going to sound almost antiquated in a world where people are starting businesses right from their phone. You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. Most of the people who approach me and they say they want to start a business or they're wanting to get into something, and when I start asking questions, they don't know. They can't answer the questions. They don't say, they don't know what their business is going to be. They don't have short term goals. They don't have long term goals. They don't know who their audience is. They don't know what platform they're going to sell on. And as cliche and as antiquated as it may sound, you still have to have a plan. You still have to have a plan. And aside from the fact of, why it's necessary to have a plan, just so you can know what your action needs to be, I found once my business really started going, and I started scaling it, meaning it started getting bigger, and I started to see, like, okay, how am I going to grow my business? When I started reaching out to potential investors, when I started reaching out to people who could kind of help me and consult me in a way, they asked me for my business plan. People still want business plans. People still want to know what it is that they are investing into. I was sitting at a restaurant maybe 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. I remember distinctly, it was around the time that George Floyd's, um, the police officer who was convicted of his murder. It was around that time, because I remember being in a restaurant and saying, like, I do not want to be in this space, because it was one of them kind of restaurants where I was the only person there, and I didn't want to be there. And this man came and approached me. He approached me and he asked me if he could talk to me. I was trying to figure out, why does he want to talk to me? Now I thought he was trying to shoot his shot. And so he was like, I'm about to go drop off my colleagues. I'll come back. Are you going to be here? And I was like, yeah, with the intention of being gone by the time he got back. But just so happened, I don't know what I was doing. I was on my phone. He really came right back. And we sat and we talked. And I assumed, just based on his appearance, that he was just a blonde hair, blue eyed Texan. But when he opened his mouth, he had an accent, like a heavy European accent. And he was actually from Czechoslovakia. And we were sitting there talking. And to this day, when he told me what his name was, I said, that's absolutely what you are. Because how would this man know everything that I was working on? I mean, I never even pulled up my phone, but he was like going through my notes, everything that I had written down, he was speaking to. I was like, how would this man know that? And his name was Gabriel. I said, you're an angel for sure. But he and I were talking, and I was telling him about all my business plans, and I was telling him about this one idea that I've been working on for a couple years now. And he just started kind of just hitting me with questions. Some I had answers to, some I did not. And he gave me two nuggets that were just very, very, very beneficial. The first one he gave me was, people don't invest in ideas, they invest in people. When I was telling him what I wanted to do, oh, I have this shoe store and I want to do the yada 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 yada. And he basically told me in a nutshell, you ain't the first person to have a shoe business. So what's so special about yours? I had no response because he's absolutely right. I am not the first person to try to do anything with shoes. And so when I was telling him my story about how I came to Dallas and how I kind of got into the whole shoe thing, then he said, Miracle, that would make me want to invest in you. So it was from that moment that I realized that I understood people invest in people. So number one, you have to know your why. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know why you're doing it. And then when it comes to the business plan, you have to know how you're going to do it. So that's the first thing that he gave me. The second thing that he gave me was not to be emotional. Don't be emotional. And again, this is when the whole George Floyd thing was going on. So I was tense already. I was sitting in that restaurant already tense. And so to have this European blonde haired, blue eyed man come up telling me about my business that I didn't ask him for, because again, he approached me, and for him to, tell me to not be emotional with some of the things he was telling me, it stung a little bit. But once I was able to see the forest from the trees, I was like, he's absolutely right. You cannot go into being an entrepreneur and wear your feelings on your sleeve. You cannot, because you're going to hear no's, you're going to have disappointments, you're going to work with people that may not be good business partners. I've worked with some people that I will never work with again. And I've worked with some people who were great, but there may have been some disagreements, some misunderstandings along the way. So, one, people invest in people. Two, don't be emotional in business. And so those things kind of really help me to kind of really move differently as an entrepreneur. And it really helped me to expand the type of people that I work with, because now I understand what a person like him, I think he did something like, he said he built missiles or something with some type of military, building planes, missiles, something like that. Something that I have no idea how he and I even crossed paths. But his insight and advice was just so valuable to me in that moment. And it's things like that I don't mind sharing. I don't mind sharing that with someone else. And I hope that that is something that you write down, you remember it. And I hope that with whatever venture that you're working on, you just keep that thing in mind. People invest in you. So whatever your story is, whatever your why is, that is what people is going to invest in. And two, have a plan. Write it down. Write it down, make it plain. And that's not just scripture, that's for real. Make it plain. Like when you're talking to investors or people about your business, you got 60 seconds to get their attention. You got 60 seconds for them to determine whether or not they want to work with you or they don't. So have a plan. It don't need to be 50 pages. Have a plan. When you talk to people, you don't got 10, 15 minutes to explain your idea. You got 60 seconds. Make sure you understand what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, and make it a way that it's attractive to whoever it is that you're telling it to. Well, that's all I got today, guys. I hope that you found this insightful. I hope you like the content. I hope you like the subject matter for today. I hope that if you are that person who is impatient, you're so anxious, and you waiting on God to do something, I hope that that little bit of wisdom that I provided you at the top of the show is helpful. And if you are someone who's waiting on your Boaz, on your roof, whoever it is that you're waiting on, I hope that you do the work to make sure that you're not operating out of a deficit. You're not looking for someone with a void. And then also, if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, someone who's looking to get into being a business owner or entrepreneur, I hope that that little bit of wisdom that I provided you is helpful. Again, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you share the video. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye, y'all.